The entire season has built up to this moment. Every comeback, every buzzer beater, every playoff worn one of it matters now, unless it ends in a championship. The NBA Finals are here. And this year, it's more than just a battle between two teams. It's a collision of styles, a test of endurance, and possibly the beginning of a new dynasty, or the crowning of a surprise underdog. If you think this is just another series, think again. Because everything that's about to happen will shape how we remember this era of basketball forever to understand what's at stake. We need to look back because the journey to the finals wasn't easy for either side. Every team that gets here has scars. And these two are no different. Let's start with the Eastern Conference champions. All season long, they were defined by speed, spacing, and execution. From the outside, they might have looked like a run-and-gun team that lives and dies by offense. But when it mattered, they proved they could grind out wins too. Every round in the playoffs exposed something new, but they kept adjusting. They beat teams with more star power. They survived when shots weren't falling. They outlasted teams with deeper benches. But what made them truly dangerous was that every single player on the roster bought into the system. Whether it was their high-octane transition game or their quick decision-making in the half-court, they forced opponents to play on their terms, and now they're in the finals still running, still spacing, still trusting the system. But the question is, what happens when they face a defense that won't bend? That's where the Western Conference champs come in. This team was built on resistance. From opening night to Game 7 of the conference finals, they've relied on ball pressure, help defense, and elite rim protection. They don't just contest shots, they erase them. What separates them from every other top defense is how versatile they are. One possession, you'll see them switch everything. The next, they'll trap high and rotate behind the play perfectly. There are no weak spots to target. And in the playoffs, that's been the difference. In the first round, they suffocated an elite transition team by forcing them to walk the ball up the floor. In the second, they took away a team's best player and dared someone else to beat them. And in the conference finals, they finally showed the world how dangerous their own offense could be. That's the scary part. Because when the defense is this good, the offense doesn't have to be perfected, just has to be good enough. So now we have two teams. One thrives on chaos, the other thrives on control. One wants to fly, the other wants to force the game into a crawl. And that's what makes this finals matchup so fascinating. Because one of them will have to change before the ball is even tipped, there are already crucial matchups brewing. Who will guard the opposing star? Can either team survive without their starters on the floor? Who wins the battle of the bench? Units. These aren't just side stories. They're going to define who lifts the trophy. But even deeper than the matchups is momentum. Both teams come into the finals with confidence, but confidence can be fragile. One cold shooting night, one blown lid, one ankle turn. Suddenly, everything changes. You don't win the finals on paper. You win them possession by possession, run by run, adjustment by adjustment. And speaking of adjustments, this is where coaching will play an even bigger role than in any previous round. Both coaches have shown they can outthink opponents in a series. They've thrown out game plans that didn't work. They've trusted their depth when stars were struggling. They've found answers on the fly. But this is different. The finals don't give you much room for error. One misstep and you're down 2-0. One stubborn decision and you could lose the series. So every rotation, every timeout, every defensive coverage, it's all magnified now. Everything that's happened so far has just been the setup. The real story starts now. And the craziest part, we still don't know who's writing the ending. If you want to predict who wins the finals, don't look at the superstars first. Look at the battlegrounds. Because this series won't be won by just one player. It's going to come down to who controls the key areas of the court, who wins the small moments, and who can stay one step ahead when the pressure hits its peak. Let's start with pace. One team wants to race. The other wants to anchor down. This isn't just a stylistic difference. It's a tug of war that will happen on every possession. Every time the ball goes through the net, the transition team is going to look to push. Even off-made shots, they'll be sprinting down the floor, hoping to catch a defender sleeping or force a mismatch. The question is, Can they keep that tempo alive for an entire series against a defense that recovers this fast? The Thunder already showed in earlier rounds that they can take elite transition teams and force them to play slow. If they pull that off again, it could completely take away one of the Pacers' biggest advantages, but that's just one layer. Because the half court is where this chess match really gets deep. Indiana loves to use high ball screens and constant off-ball movement to create gaps. They'll run the same action multiple times in a row, not to score on the first try, but to condition the defense into thinking they know what's coming right before flipping the script. Their spacing is so well-disciplined that if you help too early or too aggressively, they're ready to punish it with a kick-out three or a smart cut to the rim. The difference between scoring and turning it over often comes down to a half-second decision. That's why they're so hard to guard, but OKC doesn't bite easily. They're a team that trusts their principles. They don't overhelp. They close. Out hard but under control. They communicate constantly. And most importantly, they have 5 guys on the floor at all times who can defend in space. That makes them one of the few teams capable of switching everything without giving up a weak link. So while the Pacers are running those quick-hitting actions and looking for a crack in the defense, OKC is reading, reacting, and rotating like a machine. You're not just playing against athletes, you're playing against discipline. Still, no defense is perfect, and that's where individual shot creation becomes crucial. Both teams have go-to guys who can break the script. Maybe it's a pull-up, jumper late in the shot clock. Maybe it's a drive into traffic that ends with a tough finish. These are the possessions that separate contenders from champions, and the finals will be filled with them. The question is, who can create something out of nothing when the system breaks down? Then there's the battle on the glass. In a series this close, every rebound matters. Indiana's speed gives them a natural disadvantage on the board. They're constantly leaking out in transition, which means they're not always crashing hard. That could be a problem against a Thunder team that's hungry for second chances and physical in the paint. Extra possessions lead to more shot attempts, and in the finals, that's gold. But don't count the Pacers out just yet. Their guards are scrappy, and they're not afraid to mix it up. They might not win the rebounding war, but they'll fight to a draw, and sometimes that's all it takes. Speaking of the paint, the rim battle might be the single most important swing factor. OKC has multiple elite rim protectors, and their ability to contest without fouling is a huge reason why teams struggle to score against them inside. But Indiana doesn't rely on one guy to finish at the rim. They rotate cutters, they hit rollers in stride, and they use spacing to open up driving lanes from every angle. It's less about power and more about timing. If they can keep the ball moving and get defenders just a half step out of position, they'll get looks, whether that's a lob, a layup, or a dump-off to a trailing big. The X factors, though, might not be the names on the marquee. Every finals has a moment where a role player becomes the hero. Maybe it's a corner three in crunch time. Maybe it's a surprise scoring outburst in a game no one expected them to impact. These moments are unpredictable, but they change everything. Both teams have guys like that. Shooters who can get hot. Defenders who can swing a quarter with energy alone. Coaches know this, which is why you'll see quick sub-patterns, short leashes, and constant adjustments. Every minute counts. And finally, there's pressure, not just from the crowd or the scoreboard, but from the moment itself. The finals are different. The pace feels faster. The air feels heavier. Every missed shot, every turnover, every decision gets replayed in your head and in the media for days. Some players rise under that spotlight. Others shrink, and we won't know which is which until the games begin. That's what makes this all so compelling. We've broken down the styles. We've looked at the matchups. But there's still one more piece that could decide it all, and it has nothing to do with tactics or talent. In the final section, we're talking legacy, history, and what this finals means for the future of the league. The finals always feel bigger than basketball. Yes, it's about who plays better over 7 games. But it's also about what those games mean for the players, for the coaches, for the franchises, for the league. Every finals has the potential to become a turning point, and this one might be the most important we've seen in years, because no matter who wins, something historic is about to happen. Let's talk about the Eastern champs first. If they finish this off, we're not just talking about a surprise team catching fire. We're talking about a complete system being validated at the highest level. This team wasn't built like most contenders. They didn't stack superstars. They didn't have the biggest payroll. They weren't supposed to be here this soon. But through chemistry, unselfish play, and a commitment to pace and pressure, they've built something real, and if it ends with a ring, that changes how front offices look at team building going forward. Think about the stars on this roster. For some of them, this would be their first taste of championship glory. For others, this might be their best or only shot at it. A title cements your name in NBA history. It turns good players into legends. It gives young stars the credibility to lead for years to come. And it proves that what they've been doing wasn't a fluke. It was the beginning of something special. If this team pulls it off, the league has to take notice. They won't be underdogs anymore. They'll be a threat for years, but standing in their way is a team that's been quietly building toward this moment for just as long. The Western Conference champs have a different kind of story. This is a group that grew together. They didn't skip steps. They drafted well, developed talent, and trusted their timeline even when the league was moving faster. And now, the patience is paying off. The core of this roster is young, but battle-tested. They've already proven they can defend better than anyone. Now they have a chance to prove they can win it all. And if they do, you're looking at the beginning of a new powerhouse. A group that could dominate this next era. Think about how rare that is in the modern NBA. Most champions get there through trades or free agency. This one? They built from the ground up. A ring would be more than a trophy, it would be proof that development, culture, and continuity still matter. But here's the twist. Only one of these stories can end in glory. That's what makes this finals so powerful. Both teams are playing for legacy. Both teams have the talent, the coaching, and the will to win. But there's only one trophy, one parade. One moment that lasts forever, and let's not forget what this means for the league as a whole. The NBA has been in transition for the last few years. The old dynasties are fading. The super team era is cracking. Fans have been waiting to see who's next. Who's going to lead the league into the next chapter? This finals might give us that answer. The ratings, the headlines, the global spotlight, it's all locked in now. Millions of eyes will be on every possession, every timeout, every game. Young fans will pick their favorite players based on this series. Veterans will chase one more shot at relevance. Executives will try to copy what works. And coaches at every level, from high school to college to pro, will be watching these games for ideas, strategy, and structure. So when you sit down to watch the finals this year, remember, it's more than just basketball. It's legacy, it's identity, it's history being written in real time. The question isn't just who wins, it's what does winning change one team walks off